Hello, and welcome to Moscato and Tea. This is the show for all things beauty, business, and community with your hosts, Inez and Chiquita, keeping it raw, real, and unfiltered.
Welcome.
What's up, lady?
I'm doing good, but it's going to be a fun day, and I think we're a little already out there with our guests and stuff. So
absolutely. So you know what? Let's just get it going. Get straight to it. Today we're going to do an hour of just straight hot topics. What's current events? We have some of our most interesting guests,
most high-rated
guests, and interesting and
most
lovely
opinionated
guests. Yes. So go ahead and do intros, my dear.
The lovely and wonderful. I love to call her my hair guru, Miss Tiffany.
Yay! Welcome.
Yes, the lovely one. Also, the two hosts of the Mean Network, Brian and John podcast show. Welcome.
Come on, girl, get it together.
Thank you for having us back.
Thank you guys. I love you all.
You listen.
Do y'all?
Thanks for the coffee cake. You almost killed me.
I'm Johnny Kendricks.
As always, it's soft commit legend B Rivers.
Oh my God, I'm done. And then the wonderful, and yes, I am wearing his product line, his shirt from your petty friend, Mr. Kevin Leon.
Thank you for having me back. Let's get into some shit.
I know.
See, already.
Listen.
Pop them, right?
Yeah,
now.
pop 'em.
I'm not even trying to
She's ready.
pretend.
Oh my God.
Never too early.
No,
never
It's
too
5
early.
o'clock.
Yeah.
It's happy hour somewhere.
Yeah.
That's
It's 5
my
o'clock
motto.
in London,
Yes.
so
It's
I
5
guess
o'clock
that
somewhere,
means lunch.
happy hour
Yes.
somewhere, and it's never too early.
Yeah, so I'm going to be the so-called whoopee moderate just to keep things calm. We don't have a bell, but I got a timer. So while she's pouring, I'm going to throw
Pouring
out the
glasses,
first
please,
hot
gentlemen.
topic, and that is STDs. Do you tell somebody if you're dating somebody they got herpes? Do you tell them? Do you want somebody to tell you?
What can into? Do you want somebody?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
gonna say hell yeah.
Okay. Because there's, been a lot of celebrities, a lot of, people I've been seeing and hearing.
Talk about Usher.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Keep that allegedly.
I have some tea on that if you really want to get into the whole Usher
my
scandal.
God.
I knew
Allegedly.
I have a friend that worked in the mediation office during his mediation case with the case that he settled, and he allegedly
Thank you.
gave that girl herpes. But he did settle with her, so she got a huge settlement because now she got it too, allegedly.
It just depends on if you're like a scumbag or not.
Right.
If you're a scumbag, get what you need to get and get out.
That's true.
Wow.
As far as
So-
disclosing STDs, we recently had an episode talking about transparency versus honesty, and honesty is like I ask you a question, Chiquita, you're honest and you tell me. But as far as being transparent, it's just like. Just before we get things started, I'm gonna let you know I got A, B, and C. I don't want to have to ask you if you got STDs.
Yeah.
Before we get it popping. I don't know if you want to do this, but I got
I'm going
this.
to the doctor with you.
Yeah, I was listen.
Yeah, I'm pulling up. I'm gonna tell you, bend over and cough. I got to do it all.
Cavity surgery? I don't know if you find STDs like that.
I want to be there when the paperwork, blood test, urine
she's testing
comes
for
in.
hernias, not
Yes.
STDs.
Now, why you checking my prostate?
They go check everything.
Does this depend on what your intent is with the person? Like, are you looking to
Well,
do
if your
something with
intention is to
them?
have sex with them,
Yeah,
I mean,
which
you
is,
want to protect yourself,
Right.
if we're gonna go for a date, we're not gonna fuck on top of the table.
Yeah.
So if we're in the bedroom, we should probably discuss this.
And I mean, here's the thing. There's always that chance, like you meet someone, you have a one night stand. The likelihood you still can sit there and say, "Do you have anything?" I think a lot of people just don't really are afraid to speak and ask. We were just talking because the reason we're bringing all of that up too is that I have clients or people I know or mostly clients that they've been in a committed relationship. How about this? When is it too early to ask for like the test or anything like that? I don't think it's ever too early.
It's never too
I was
early.
about to
Yeah.
say, because
It's
even when
never too early.
when they're dating and they're disclosing, the men have had issues or had something and never disclosed, then the women find out, then it's a whole big deal. But
Well, think about it. It's never too early. It's never too late, right?
Never.
Whether it's you want to know that if you're in a committed relationship, you should know that the person you're having sex with is clean, and that creates a whole other level of trust
they're
and
not
honesty
burning
and
and
transparency.
yes,
to your point, so it just depends on if you're committed or if you're not. But just to protect yourself, you should probably know what you're
Whether
putting
you're
yourself
committed
into.
or not, though, I don't even think it's a question of having to ask. if it's your responsibility being a sexually active person to say, hey, I'm stepping into this, let you know, you know, I don't have herpes. But if I did, by the way,
But
this is what's going on.
to their point, men are trash, obviously.
Obviously.
And men will fuck anything and everything. And
Yes,
most of the time,
true.
and I would even chalk this up to like men don't get tested as
A lot of
probably
people,
as
period,
much
don't
as,
get
as
tested.
women do, right?
Yeah.
Is that a
That's
fair
true.
thing to
That's
say?
true.
Very
That's
true.
true.
Because men,
That's true.
you know, men are like scared of the doctors, all that weird fucking macho shit.
That's true.
But you should just know, like for your own sanity, you should know what you have and what you don't have,
Yeah.
and if you have nothing, it just makes you probably better in the bedroom anyway.
Why are some
Right?
people like just uncomfortable bringing up the conversation? Because like in the past, like I don't know what you guys' experiences have been, but someone would be like, "Are you clean?" Like, yeah, I'm clean. I'm clean. Okay, all right, let's go. But, but some people are like very
We gotta
uncomfortable.
get
That's how it
specific
happens.
with
That's an
it.
accurate depiction
You
of
know
how
what I
that goes.
Yeah, you
good,
clean?
I'm
Yeah, I'm
good,
clean.
yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
It's usually right
good.
before it.
Yeah, like, are you good? I'm
Maybe
good.
I need
more.
more. Yeah, I need more than that.
I got to be specific.
Yeah.
Have you ever had or
Yeah.
do you have an STI,
I need
STD,
paperwork.
whatever exactly? Show me the work.
Now,
because
ladies, if a guy or whomever asks you first, are you gonna feel like offended? Because I know
No.
some
No,
girls are
no.
like,
I would
be
I know some
no.
girls are like, "What you
More
think? I
power
got
to
something?"
them.
Hell no. Actually, matter of fact, I'll
Yeah.
give him a high five. Like, yo, you're protecting yourself. You're interested about. That means you care about yourself. That means that
Exactly.
the likelihood you're going to care about my health and
sure.
what's going on. So if he
He's
asks first,
responsible.
is you're being responsible. I would never be offended. I'd be on the contrary. I'd be like, thank God you asking, because I was going to ask you.
Exactly.
I've had friends who like be like, "Oh, I went to pull a condom out." And she's like, "Oh, what you think I got something?" I was like,
Oh,
"What the
hell
Like
no.
this has
Women-
nothing to do with you.
A lot of
No.
women do feel disrespected nowadays when you try to get a condom. It's
Well,
like,
then
well,
you're messing with the wrong
people.
women.
no, I didn't.
Oh, no, I'm saying no. I said men are
Just
messing
in
with
general.
These
Okay.
men are messing with the wrong women.
I think it's a little weird. A lot of homies would tell me now, like, oh, like women don't ask for condoms anymore. So,
Oh, hell no.
even as a man, you need
That's
to ask.
terrifying.
Well,
Straight
it's-
up.
That is
So
terrifying.
you don't want to use a condom, but you want to have a kid. Like,
Yeah.
Let's think about it.
Yeah.
Not
Or
just
catch
that.
anything?
Here's the thing. I think a lot of people think about birth control before they think about STIs and STDs. We don't have the same type of in our culture today. Our awareness of ourselves and sexual behavior is very different than what it used to be.
It's a little
so, it is wild. But I can't have a baby, so I'm thinking, okay, we can get down with this because I don't know. We've entered into this contract. These are discussions that people just don't have, right?
And that's
so they don't
this
care
is why,
about it.
This is where it all comes in, where you have all these celebrities, athletes, all these men having babies outside of. It's like, yo, are we not paying attention? Are we not asking? Are we saying whatever? If she get mad, then she get mad. If you get mad, then we done. Like,
Yeah.
But they're uncomfortable conversations that you have to practice.
You do.
And you have to just keep trying, like
And I'm
saying
just
it, saying
thinking,
it, and
ooh.
that like asking that question is the same as like asking for a raise. It's like asking for or negotiations or
Yeah.
well,
those
you negotiating with your
difficult-
life and a kid
Right,
for
right,
life.
right.
Like
Yeah.
that's,
But-
And a lot of
that's-
women don't have the voice to do so. So there's a big thing there, especially when it comes to. I think that women are reared differently in a way where speaking, first of all, even being aware of your sexuality and being seen as a sexual being is still something, especially in certain communities, African American women. You know, you want to be the good girl. You're not going around and having sex and doing X, Y, Z. There's a lot of miseducation there. I even know people that have contracted, let's say, herpes. I'm using this. And because they only had one breakout, their understanding of this thing that they have is that, oh, well, I haven't had a breakout, so I'm fine. And they don't disclose that to their partners, right?
That's so nasty.
So a
Yeah.
lot of people just really, once again, whether they have anything or not, they're not
That's
aware
nasty.
of they just don't have the sexual education. They don't have those tools. And women specifically don't feel like they can talk about this with their partners.
Yeah.
You know, and feel very comfortable in that environment. So yeah, it's a lot.
question for the group: if someone knowingly has an STD, they have sex with someone, but they don't tell them that they have an STD, like you said for your example.
I will come and kill you. Are you
Yes,
kidding
that's
me?
what I
Yeah,
said.
yeah, that's what, yeah.
Yeah.
And the person contracts it.
yeah.
What should be the repercussions?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
What's
yeah.
about legally?
Legally, I think you should be allowed to
Should be
sue.
jail
Yeah,
time.
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's just-
Why not? If you're causing someone harm, bodily harm, it doesn't matter.
Just
in
like
a-
you got insurance for your car and all that stuff.
and
you hit
I mean, if
somebody,
if somebody,
you gotta pay for it.
at the end of the day, you're doing somebody bodily harm. You're not telling them without their knowledge that you're putting him in this danger.
Yeah.
Now, if
Yeah.
somebody knows and you choose to go in that,
like
then
negligence.
you already, yes,
Yeah.
then
That's
you already know
negligence, right.
you know what you're going into. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
But if you're going into something and you have no idea, that is definitely that's like you're driving a car, you're going your way, minding your business. Somebody decides to do a turn you weren't ready for. Boom, they are held liable. I think it's the same thing when it comes to
It's
your body and
malicious.
sex.
It's malicious.
I
Now-
think
Yeah.
it depends on how severe the STD is.
I'm thinking
I
the
would,
same
I feel more comfortable saying that. Whether it's like chlamydia or herpes,
They
not
all severe
herpes,
to
but
me.
like chlamydia,
something
gonorrhea,
that's right. It's
something curable as
curable.
opposed to like HIV, then you're really
Right.
fucked. Then your life really does change as opposed to, taking some antibiotics and then you're clean. But if it's something that's going to stay with you like herpes for the rest of your life, there should be some
There
absolute
should be
legal
some
repercussions for that.
repercussions.
Now, if someone is
Ain't like you catching
transparent
a
with
cold.
someone, if someone you're dating or talking to is transparent with you, and they tell you up front, like, "Yo, I got this going on," would you proceed with them?
Hell no.
No.
It depends on.
Yeah, I
it
was gonna say it would
depends.
Well, y'all been
depends.
talking for
It
a while, like
depends.
a couple
No.
months. You like really feeling this person.
Y'all haven't had sex though.
Yeah.
No, it really
It
depends.
depends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It depends on what they have, what it is, who
How
they
they're
are.
taking care of
Yeah, exactly.
themselves.
There's a lot because I do know. I think we're always shaming people who have.
Right.
You know.
Because then they'll just be like, "Oh, I'm not going to tell them."
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So why are we,
Everything's
so
gonna
it's
be
a
good.
catch
All you
22.
gonna do, just judge
yeah,
me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a
Bounce.
catch 22. I would say it
mistake.
depends on what it is. You're being transparent. Are you, taking care of yourself? What are my options as the being your lover? Like to protect myself? Is it
Right.
viable? I
Right.
don't think it's fair to put somebody who has something in a box and say and lock away the key and say
Agreed.
you're diseased and that's the way it is because that's not the way it is.
And you're gifting me with
Yeah.
the awareness.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're letting me
Right.
know. That lets me know you care enough because you could meet somebody and they not say anything. So at the end of the day, I think it's it's open.
It said,
Yeah.
"Thanks for letting me know I'm going to skate."
Yes.
Did Magic Johnson's
what I'm
wife
saying.
ever contract HIV?
No,
No.
she did
No.
not.
Granted, he's like a gajillionaire, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a difference.
yeah, for sure. But it's just like even if someone does have something, depending on what it is, there are like ways around
Absolutely.
the situation. I'm not saying personally I would date someone who has something. That's just me. I'm sorry.
I
But-
wouldn't. That's a
Yeah,
I
I'm,
could.
I'm
I-
a skate.
I'm not a big
people
gambler.
out
I can't
I'm
even
not
handle a
gambling on
cold
that.
or pneumonia, so I know I can't do all that.
Yeah, you think on me, you gonna
Yeah.
fight.
That's a no. I'm not going to say lock them, put them in a box.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm just
but
saying it
lock them in
depends.
the
Can be
clinic and wait
friends.
for them to get clean
No,
and then
yeah,
let
and
them
then
back out.
it depends on a lot of things. I think
It's
we
a
need
situational
yes,
type of-
I agree
yeah.
with you. It's a situation by person for because if I know
That
you
can't
just
necessarily,
if you're
yeah.
scandalous and you just get the fuck out of here.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if you're doing other, then we could have a conversation about it. I'm not going to close the door on it.
Yeah.
It's another
That's it.
person with an STD
Okay,
out
Well,
there for
kind
you.
of leading off to chosen.
There's someone for everyone. There's someone.
We're not going to do this today.
What they
I'm
lead
gonna
off,
swipe this
ding,
person.
ding, ding. What leading that closed off door? Should we close off the door to Kanye West?
You
What
talking
a
about the
transition.
community?
We
Yes.
should not
No,
stop trying to cancel people.
no, yeah.
Should we close the door on
Yeah,
Kanye West?
I grew up as a Kanye stan, and I'm very much so against all the Kanye hate right now. So my thing about Kanye, he doesn't necessarily know how to elaborate on what he's saying. A lot of
Okay.
times he'll just say something without going in depth about what he's saying. Because have you all seen the 13th Amendment, the documentary?
No.
I watched
So-
part of it.
Yeah.
I haven't done of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, the 13th Amendment states that slavery is abolished. This is like paraphrasing. Unless someone commits a crime,
Right.
and then they can be put into indentured servitude. So basically, that's what the 13th Amendment talks about. And basically, that's what Kanye was trying to say, but he does not know how to elaborate.
has a
Okay,
very
this is
hard
okay,
time.
okay. I get that. Here's the problem with that. Here's where I have a problem with. I'm not saying close the door on Kanye quite yet, but what I am saying is that if you are trying to do a movement and you're trying to do something, stop. Get your ass together. And then go out there and present what you're saying. Because right now, nobody's listening to what the fuck he got to say because
People do
he's-
listen.
I know, but listen, there are people, but most of the time, 90% of what he's saying, he has a legit, there is certain things to what he's saying. But the way you're approaching it and the way he's coming about it is not.
The right way to do it.
I just don't
But,
think it's.
but who's to say what's right? Like, it's not right to whoever just said it's
Well,
not
if
right.
you're black and angering every black person out there, something's not right.
Not every black
Right,
person.
but I'm saying
though.
a lot
It's
of
just a
I-
generalization.
I feel a lot of people are turning on him.
I'm good.
Right,
Here's the
but
thing.
you know, for you to piss off so many people, I mean, if he's, I'm not going to generalize and just say black people. I'm like, he's upsetting a lot of people, black or not, right? That's a fair statement to say.
Setting a lot of fans.
Right. And so,
Yeah.
but when you have that platform, when you are Kanye, you have a right, you have responsibility to be able to explain yourself to the people who listen to your music, right? So I'm not saying he shouldn't speak like a politician. He should speak like someone that can explain his thoughts and ideas in a way that his people can understand.
And he sounds so erratic a lot of times. Go ahead.
No, he is erratic. Trying and doing are two totally different things. And here's the thing about Kanye West. He has such a huge platform. He has also, with that platform, such a huge responsibility, bottom line. And I understand the thing about the 13th Amendment. I can understand even the statement he made about slavery, which had everybody up in
I
arms.
understand that too.
Right. But here's the thing. You are a musician. You write lyric. If anything, you understand the power of your words. There's an investment that he needs to make in himself before he takes that platform, which he does take. Bottom line to me.
What responsibility do people and fans have, though? Instead of just seeing a headline, what responsibility do they have to do research?
Okay, well, we're in a
Well-
time. I'm gonna say, what you go ahead and then I'll explain.
go ahead, you go
I'm
ahead.
gonna say we're in a time now that does not really exist anymore. We're not in a sense where you can look up everything on social media. You can look. People don't want to sit there and look and read and do those kinds of things. Unfortunately, you know. There is a generation, and I'm speaking because I've talked to, not everybody. I'm just saying I've talked to quite a few. People believe whatever they want to believe. Instagram, Twitter, that's the news now. Nobody's sitting there and going, okay, well, let me see what it is. People are quick to jump fire. So it's not a time where you had to go back in the day where you had, you got now someone 45 who literally can say anything, discredit anybody, do anything, and people are quick to believe. Nobody's sitting around looking. So here's where I say that Kanye's responsibility may or may not be. It doesn't matter. He put himself in a platform where we're just in a time where people look at celebrities like gods. It is what it is. In a sense where they're up, we put them in a pedestal that they're so high that we don't even realize that they're human. They are human. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to do different things. It's up to us, but it's also up to us to teach others to go ahead and research and look and figure things out and analyze what he's saying without just being, you can't even, you have a beef over anything nowadays.
Okay. Who wants to go?
You
You
go.
can go.
You go,
Go ahead.
Tiff.
Okay. So we do live in a day and an age where people don't investigate, right? And people read headlines. We were just talking about social media and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
People get their news from Instagram,
Twitter,
Facebook,
Tumblr.
Twitter. Right. Not all credible sources. And there is a
TMZ.
mutual responsibility that the fan
Thank you.
and the artist have to one another. We're mutually dependent upon one another. That doesn't mean it exists. Here's the thing, though. When someone has, whether it's a Bill Cosby, whether it is an Obama, we're talking celebrity. These people, Beyonce, Jay-Z, they have a huge amount of power. Okay.
Influence is a better
And
word, right?
influence.
Yeah.
Okay, boom.
Yeah.
Thank you. And with that, people take their word as bond. And people now look at these people as sources for well, he said XYZ, so that must be the case, and blah 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 blah. And it's unfortunate that the audience, the fans, don't investigate more. But that is the reality in which we live. I'm not absolving either party, but I do think that once again, these people in power have to realize their influence and their reach, and
I just wish
just
he
be
would use better
responsible.
words.
Be
That's
responsible.
all. I really wish he would just explain himself in layman's
bit better.
terms in a way that we could all understand, where we don't attack him in his words, if that makes sense. Like he says when that TMZ that awful TMZ interview that he did at the TMZ
Yes,
office.
that was.
And
Oh,
the
man.
whole world was like ready to kill him, right? But it's like, and then he had to fall back and be like, "This is what I meant." It's like, so then in that moment, you should have had that fallback moment and explained yourself in a better way for us to really get in alignment with what you're saying and
He
what
didn't
you're
have the
thinking.
facilities to.
Kanye and the Kardashians have a great way of just making everybody talk about them, whether it's positive or negative.
True.
It's still generating income for them. Now with Kanye West, I don't want to use this as an excuse. I think it's a fact. But when we see him and we hear him speak, this is a man who is battling with mental health issues. We see what Kanye
Allegedly.
No, I think you see what Kanye was and what his music was,
Wasn't-
what
yeah,
it
to
has
it.
become. We see what Kanye
Yes.
used to be. I feel like that Kanye is still in there. So a lot of people try to cancel him. And I don't think that's the right way to go about it. On our show, I talked about some individuals who can be canceled, like R. Kelly. We saw what he was in the beginning, and he's still that same person.
Yeah.
Now Kanye, he was riding with the
We
black
still
folks.
ain't canceling him though. That's the sad
Allegedly.
part.
He needs to
All
be canceled.
alleged.
But no, but with Kanye though, it's
Kept
just
that
like
same energy.
it's the same person who said Bush doesn't care about black people,
Exactly.
and we see what he has become now. So clearly, this is someone who's battling some type of mental health issues. Once his mother died, we started to see him start to spiral
More.
down,
Yeah.
and his music hasn't been the same. Not to say everybody's music should stay the same, but we saw
Like a digression.
the lyrics and
Yes.
the yeah
It's just
transgression.
It went to a
whatnot.
dark place. Is
Yes.
what I'm trying to say,
Exactly.
It went to
right?
a very
So,
me-centric place.
We shouldn't be looking. I'm not saying you guys are doing this, but we shouldn't be looking to Kanye for political knowledge and whatnot. Not saying he should be
Absolutely.
boxed in, but I want to go to Kanye to see, like, all right, what are his thoughts on this policy?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
But,
At least
but,
young
but
people
to add
do.
to that, then why is he in the White House? Right? Like to
Right.
add to
well,
that.
we know that his obsession with Trump is more so that Trump has defied all odds, and when it gets to grind, and has become president when no one thought he would. Kanye, whenever people will go left, Kanye will go right. He's always been different from the rest of the pack. But now we start to see his mental health take a stab at him and make him, become who he is now, walking around with the MAGA hat, talking about us giving him superpowers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So can I ask this as like the not black person in the room? How do you guys feel about him wearing that hat? Or like, how do you feel about his close ties with the whole Trump administration?
I'm fine with that. Like, cause he's not. I believe a lot of people don't like Trump because perceive what he incites among like a racial divide. I'm not saying necessarily like that he did or he didn't, but that's not Kanye's reason. Like Brian said before, that's not Kanye's reason for his infatuation
Do you
with
think
Trump.
it's like some kind of similarity in like the rise to power?
Yeah.
In both of them.
Yeah, definitely. So as a fan of Kanye, I don't admire Trump, but I can
Understand.
understand. I
The
can empathize with
infatuation.
him, like because I have the same goal. Like, well, not. I want to
wear the hat?
You want to
I'm
be
gonna
successful.
defy
Yeah,
odds.
I want
Yeah.
to defy the odds. I
Yes.
want to come up from nothing, and
Yeah.
so I can.
He
But
didn't
here's
come
the
up-
thing,
he didn't
right?
come
Never
up from nothing.
Who, Trump?
Yes.
Well, I'm not talking about
No,
Trump.
no,
Okay,
I'm talking
okay,
about
Kanye.
Kanye.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
about to be
Kanye
like,
also
you
didn't
looking up
come
at
up
somebody
with
else.
nothing.
That's like the
What's
same
one
way.
policy Kanye has talked about with Trump? Has he talked about a policy?
Prison reform. That's the point of him going to the office was to
Was
talk about
prison-
prison
yeah.
reform.
And I
But
think
they
we
didn't.
all want prison reform in
Yeah.
America for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
But outside of that, it's like what has he aligned with the Trump administration that he's talked about openly?
Freedom of thought. I don't
Every
know.
time he
Yeah.
talk about Trump, he's talking about, man, he really went against the odds and became president. Like, I love that. That's all he's talked about.
Yeah.
So I don't think it should affect black people the way it does because it's not at
But
black
it
people.
does.
You're saying it's not,
But it
it's not a
does. But
racial
here's the
thing.
thing:
It's not a
we don't
racial
have
thing.
a yeah.
I think
People
it's
say
taking
it's a
look.
racial thing because of Trump and the perceived divide of what he
Yes,
he
absolutely.
has caused.
And I think also too when you see someone like you said, Kanye being here and now Kanye being there, it's kind of like you're losing a brother or somebody, just someone, and you're like, yo, like why? It's like let's help you get to where you need to be, or do whatever you need to do. It's just kind of one of those things where you just you see that uncle that you loved and admire and was doing great things, and all of a sudden he got into some shit, and you're like, why? Like why? And you're just mixing and you just want to help, but you just don't know how to. It's kind of like in that same situation where how Kanye is affecting the black community in that sense, where it's like, why, my brother? Like at the end of the day, you are free, but why do you have to make it seem like you're bashing us? Now, I'm not saying he is, but his perception and what he's saying and how he is admiring this man that is oppressing and talking crazy, craziness. In my opinion,
Trump is oppressing.
well, it's already shit. Put it this way: this is already shit that was already out there. It just was on the cover. He's just bringing it pretty much to light. It was always like a little quiet, like let's not talk about certain things. I just think there's just a lot going on, and I think we're in a time of chaos.
Trump is
So-
just a hype man. Like
He's a reality
That's
TV
all he
star.
does.
Yeah.
He is a reality
He just
TV
hypes
star.
people up. Like he.
But the hat, getting back to your point, represents to me And to a lot of the Black people that I know, the shift, the change in him, the man whom we once, admired and respected for his word is the light. Now you turn your back on your community that brought you up.
Can I ask you a
That
question?
supported
He's saying
you.
that he's not turning his back on the community.
No,
right?
Right,
he's
but
not.
that's what the hat. I'm talking about what the hat represents.
Got you.
Right.
It's just the way he's going about it. So,
Wait,
in
I have
2000,
something else to say.
go ahead.
Okay.
This is what I love. Yes.
So the other thing about Kanye, you talked about him going, left when the crowd went right and everything else. And I get that. I'm all about free thought, and I'm also about being an individual. But the problem is, it's one thing about being organically a certain way and having an honest opinion, an authentic opinion about something that's different from the masses. But I think a lot of the times it's contrived. And what I mean by that is, it's contrived. He's trying too hard to be different instead of just being different. So
He's
the whole
forcing it,
thing
is what you're saying. Got you.
Exactly.
He's like he's doing that now. Or he's always done that.
I feel like he's more so in it now. I don't even know what the truth of Kanye was, to be honest with you. Because what he's representing to me now, I don't know who you are.
I don't feel like
Or
he's
you
trying
been?
too hard. He's always shocked the world in some type of way. For example, when he went on stage when Taylor Swift won, it was like Beyonce should have won.
He was also
Everyone
really
like,
drunk off some
oh my
Hennessy.
gosh, he still went up there.
Exactly.
He wasn't the only drunk person in that crowd. He still went up there.
But he's also
even from
uninhibited
his
and a
fashion when he came
narcissist.
into the game, it was against the grain. So this is still against the grain, just mixed in with a little mental health as well. I feel.
Once
I will
again,
agree with you though. His doctors need to change his prescriptions or something and just
Can I
help
ask-
him.
Did he say he was
One more
off his
question.
meds? On
He was
the
off his
TNT?
meds.
Yeah, he did.
on
He was
TNT.
off.
He needs to get back on.
He said it
soon.
was-
Because he said he got
Well,
that liposuction.
Oh,
He said his mental
yeah.
health issues makes him feel like a super hero.
Yeah.
That hat, though.
that's what he said.
That's
you-
his music.
But you see, Taylor's now is talking about getting people like the difference now, and how Taylor Swift is more about voting and getting people out there.
Well, she came
educate
out of
yourself.
nowhere with
Yeah.
that, to be completely honest, because who thought she was political at all?
Yeah.
Right. She,
So-
yeah. She,
Right,
never-
right, right.
brand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she never
I
said
hate
shit.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
she
care
has
about
never
none
said
of that.
anything, and she's been like, what? She's like the top 5. She has like the top 5
Yeah.
followers on Instagram, and all of a sudden she comes out like, vote for your Democrats.
Yeah.
It's a little. It looks a little charged, to be honest.
Did y'all see her at the AMAs? Did y'all see
I didn't
anybody
even watch
from?
the
Oh.
anime.
Yeah,
I'm not
so
gonna lie,
sorry. I didn't see it.
participate in
I'm
those.
so sorry.
Yeah.
Award shows.
I didn't see that.
Award
What do we
shows
need
are
award
rigged.
shows for?
Yeah.
They're all rigged.
Well, I love
Yeah, I'm
Cardi's
not big on
performance.
celebrity.
Oh, yeah.
Cardi
Shit.
did good.
I don't
have
need
to
no
say.
award show to tell me what was album of the year. I got my own opinion as to what album or artist of the year
Okay.
is.
What do you
know
think
what I
was
mean?
Yeah,
artist
go ahead.
and album? Who do you think?
This
Grammys
is
are
from this year.
2018. Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, I am a Drake stan. So,
2018? Like,
Scorpion.
Yeah.
this,
I like Scorpion.
It wasn't
It's a great
first
album.
half of
Last
Scorpion.
year?
It's a great album.
Yeah.
I could talk
It's
about this
okay.
all day.
Yeah.
First half is great.
so that means the entire album
what
is
was your
okay.
question?
Yeah. What do you think as far as music artists that came out this year or album? What was the best for you?
So I got Drake Scorpion in there. I got Pusha T's album in there. I got who else has come out? I actually like Kanye and Kid Cudi's album. But not because of Kanye, because of Kid Cudi. I thought he was gonna be the worst part of the album because he hasn't come out with good music to me in a while. But Kid Cudi killed his performances. So like that album, those are probably like I got 2 more, but I can't really think off top right now.
Okay.
But what were your thoughts on music this year?
I would have to say
Don't say Beyonce, Shakita.
no.
I didn't like that album. It was so sad.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
The
a
Carters?
big fan.
I wasn't a fan
I
of
wasn't a
it.
big fan of that. I will admit on that. But I think musically lately I've been more into I was on the bad wagon, but what's her name? LMA.
Oh yeah.
So I
on
like
the
her.
top.
Yeah. So I've been into her lately. So I love her music so far. You know?
Well, Chiquita already knows.
I'm gonna say this on the record. I don't like Eminem. How about that?
Oh my God.
Eminem's album was
care about his
pretty
Kamikaze
weak.
album.
I
Trash.
like I like Buddy. Buddy had a good album. I don't know if anyone listens to Buddy.
Oh, Travis Scott.
Travis Scott.
Oh, and
It was
that
the
beef.
Astro World,
Oof.
right?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
my
Astro
top 5
World.
for
That
sure.
was a pretty good album. Pusha T.
Okay.
Don't scroll
J
past Drake
J
like
Rock.
that.
No, J. he's
Lil
not.
Wayne's album.
Oh yeah, Lil Wayne. Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
into it. Very into it. I know
Okay.
there's a lot of like opinions about it.
Yeah.
But the R&B vibes I'm
It's
into.
a lot of 2010 vibe.
It is. No, it is. But I've
Dated references.
a lot of the current melodies of music right now I'm not into. A lot of this trap house shit. It's not my favorite, and I feel like a
same
lot of the
shit.
songs
Sentences are the same.
sound the same.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm ready for something new, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm very much into R&B, so I was really happy that Lil Wayne gave me that.
I was more so happy to see Lil Wayne come back.
Yeah.
Well, he was in
I'm
that
always
contract.
into
He
the
was
live
in that
music.
that
You know,
legal
you
battle.
go to
Yeah,
my
I know what
Yeah.
happened. Yeah,
What is it,
But
Cash
felt
Money?
better to see him actually put music out again because we were all
Yeah.
like Lil Wayne fans at some point, you know, over his years.
definitely.
So to see him drop music again as a fan, it made me happy. I'm like, damn, that's dope. But the album is whatever. It's better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But you know, it would never be what it was because I mean,
He
it was going
was
to be what they were.
So he doesn't write down his music,
He needs to write
which
it
is
down.
the craziest thing. He just goes into the booth, whatever
And
comes out,
spits.
and that's the song. That's
That's
it.
a problem.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a talent for sure.
They said Pac did the same thing.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
He
And afterwards he
did
would
it.
write.
He would. I mean, like with the, you know, like musically. Now you're talking about that. What about this whole like Nicki Minaj and Cardi,
Cardi B throwing
So-
the shoe and that giant fucking bump on her
Her
head.
head.
Yeah, she got knocked the fuck out. Clearly, and it wasn't
Got
even
like
by
a security
Nicki.
elbow or something.
And
Oh my god.
she, I mean, that was a great moment in history. You know
Oh
what
my
I mean? They looked great. It was what party was it?
It was
the
Magazine.
Maxine. Yeah.
Harper's Bazaar.
Yes.
And she got knocked the fuck out. Poor thing. I mean, at this point, if you're a Cardi B and somebody is talking shit about your parenting skills, why do you care? Is my point. Like you should. It doesn't matter anymore. And I know like there's a big thing, especially like on reality TV. It's like don't talk about the kids. Well, if you're on the show, you're up for discussion. You
Yeah,
and your whole life.
absolutely.
And it's like, and if someone talks about your kids, why do you even care? If you know that your kids are fine and taken care of, what does a comment matter to you anyway? So it's like, why are you going to get up and take your shoe off, chuck it across the room? Like, you know, again, and then these celebrities and these artists that come up in the game, like for example, Cardi B was a stripper.
Yeah.
Now look at her now. And it's like, you need to move
Past
out of
where
that
you
hood
were.
mentality
Right.
and graduate to where now you're on a platform, you're established. Understand that. Don't destroy it by doing some dumb shit like this
yeah.
at a party. And Nicki Minaj on her podcast went off and she was like, the look of the faces around me, you know, of these established, well, you know, high esteemed people, the faces that they were giving me, they were like in shock. And it's like, yeah, because you need to elevate along with your brand the higher you go up the ladder. Is that not fair?
It's just a matter of ego, but she's
It's
not
ego,
looking
but
at it from
it's
that
like you're going
perspective.
to destroy everything that
Yeah.
you created because
I mean,
of
and
You don't think
they-
that is her
thing.
brand?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I was gonna say, first of all, she doesn't like. She was a stripper. That is her brand. Like, if you see her, follow her on Instagram. She says whatever she wants to say. She speaks whatever she wants to do. People like her or love her for that reason. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not surprised.
I don't think anyone was like, Cardi B threw a shoe?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, nobody
I
was
don't-
surprised.
I mean, she was on Love and Hip
you
Hop
know,
too. That's what
Yeah,
they did.
that was
Love and
I
Hip
another
want
Hop.
thing.
more for her.
Yeah, that you
I
know
do
she
But
want
can't.
that's what I
for
mean.
her.
It's like you gotta, and there are so many people and rappers and
saying is
basketball
right.
players.
Yeah, no,
Right, right, right.
absolutely. She
My-
has to, but at the end of the day, it's not surprising. She's still young. She's still new to this.
26 as of yesterday.
She's
Yeah.
still
Not that young.
yeah. She's still new to the game.
Yeah.
She coming from a whole different kind of. I mean, at the end of the day, I just wish as women, especially in the rap game, especially there, it's a very very small community. Do a little more embracing and like grab each other
with that.
and put each
Yeah.
other under the wing and say, okay, like let me help you. There is plenty of room for everybody. I don't understand
Yeah.
what the problem is with that. I get it. A little competition is always good.
Right.
A little competition make you step your game up. But I just like always, it's always like here we go, Black women, Latino
I
women.
think-
Women,
We
period,
can't women
yeah.
in period. Girl, was she on her period that day?
I think
Was she?
Yeah.
But it's
Man
just
say
one of
that women
those.
get mad.
Yeah.
what kills me the
said
most,
what?
and this applies to like
Toxic male
men and women, it kills me about successful people, especially in the minority communities like ours. When you see these rappers, these lyricists, these artists, these actresses, these football players, basketball players, defy the odds, right? Now you're respected, you're at the top of your game, but then you do really stupid shit. And sometimes those stupid things destroy your career. And what you should be doing is just letting all that go and move forward. And the biggest example of this, I think, is Aaron Hernandez.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He had like a $40 million contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went and killed somebody.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you're in jail, and now he hung himself and he's dead. And I'm like,
Right.
you have to let that go. And then you see like Extension, what happened.
Yeah.
That was incredibly sad. But there was some shit going on there, and you have the list gets longer and longer, and it's like you should really get out. I thought your goal was to like get out of those situations.
Right.
Why stay in them if you're not forced
Because
to
I
stay in
think
them? Then get
sometimes-
out.
But
There's a
sometimes
certain-
people don't know
How?
how.
I'm
Right.
just saying,
Yeah.
I think it's more of a like not knowing how, or you're bringing up, or who you have around you still, because you feel a loyalty to a lot of people that were like, don't forget about me. Remember this. I think there's just a lot of scenarios, but
Or not even feeling the need to, not wanting or knowing how, or not knowing how is one thing. That's like, okay, there's an awareness there of self, right? But I think with these individuals, there's not an awareness. They're brought up and bred in a certain environment. They have a certain mentality, and that mentality is what keeps them going.
Yeah.
That shift hasn't changed, right? And so I think
those
it's a
lips
matter
buttered.
of that.
Yeah, I feel like Cardi B definitely has something to lose, and she has a huge career, and especially coming off of Love and Hip Hop, where a lot of people are usually like washed up and end up on Love and
They
Hip
don't
Hop.
get
They-
to where
they
she's
don't
at.
go,
They
yes.
don't get to
Exactly.
where
So she
she's
definitely defied odds there. But it's like, you got stuff to lose. You have a child now, you getting, millions of dollars. Why would you want to fight?
You don't
If I'm a
have
millionaire, somebody throw a shoe at me, I'm going to step to the side and keep walking. Like, I ain't fighting nobody. I ain't fighting nobody now. I ain't no millionaire. Like, I got something to lose. I ain't trying to do it. So
Right.
I think
don't
that's
know
the point.
what is it going to take to shift that mentality and get them out of that hood mindset.
It's different dynamics though. So with being a rapper, part of being a rapper now in this age is that lifestyle, is gang banging, is talking about killing people, is doing drugs. Now with the NBA, it's a little different. Most of them, a lot of them just don't got dads, and like,
OMG.
that's pretty much all that is. But with
NFL too.
yeah, NFL too, athletes in general, well, black athletes.
Allegedly.
Yes,
don't have
alleged.
allegedly don't have a lot of followers.
But with rappers though, it's hard to tell them to get out of it because that's what got them where they are. Most of the new rappers, they're all rapping about the same thing. None of them are rapping about anything positive. It's about drugs,
Gold
killing
chains, diamonds,
bitches.
cars.
Right, but those are the narratives that are pushed. There are plenty of other artists and
That's
plenty of
why they
other
do it, though.
rappers, right?
course.
That have different messages. We're talking about the Black Stars, the Commons, the Talib Kweli's, and there are other current
They're all
day
like 50.
artists. Right, but there are current day artists that are also of a different mindset and of a different type of narrative. But those are not the people that we celebrate. We celebrate the petty. We celebrate, and no, this is all love, brother. But we celebrate, all of those things, and then blacks, minorities end up wanting to be of that because that is the thing that we look toward, right? Those are our role models.
I mean, we
Well,
were
it's
just
it's
saying,
what sells more
yeah, and then
records. It's what we
if you
wanna
notice
hear.
how
Yeah.
rap
Money.
and
I don't
music,
wanna hear it.
yeah,
It's a
like
business.
rap and music, how music has evolved in such a different format and way. We Chiquita and I were on a drive. We were going to Palm Springs for her amazing award show. Anyways, so we're listening to some Pandora. I put on some old school R&B, and we were laughing, and we were actually talking about this, like how music. We don't even have good R&B.
No. We
that
don't have
even love
feels.
songs. And we were listening to the songs. The guys were basically saying, "I love you," like give me a chance.
H-Town,
we
New
were talking,
Edition,
and we're like
All
nowadays.
for One.
All for One,
I'm-
yes.
I mean, like we're like,
I was
if
listening
you
to
got
that
married today, you don't even as this
Jagged Edge.
you don't even have a song to walk down the aisle to unless it's like, "Bitch, drop it hot and drop it on my dick." That's
oh my gosh.
Hey,
Like gonna drop
Like, you
something.
know what I'm saying? Unless you but that's my point. Like, you don't even. We were talking about that. We're like, do you listen to these lyrics right now as a woman or as a girl? You're young in the '90s. You're like, oh man, the guy's gonna love me. Nowadays, it's like just basically, but. There's just no respect.
There's no, like, romance.
No
Yeah.
romance.
Yeah.
No nothing.
There's still romance, but it's just not pushed. It's like underground artists. that
Yeah,
do
well,
something.
that's my point.
Yeah.
It's underground.
Yeah,
Like we're,
not mainstream.
everybody. I have clients. Everybody getting married. I was like, oh, who you
What's your
walking?
song?
What's
Yeah.
your song? Ed Sheeran. Like, get out of here. Like,
Oh, that fucking song. If I hear that song one more
Yeah,
time.
Ed Sheeran. I'm like, are you
Oh my
serious?
God.
We don't have any. And we were thinking about it. We're like, damn, today you really don't have. Well, back in the day, you had 50 million different ones. Love and romance is just not pushed. But again, that's where it goes into the Me Too movement. And all of
Bill
this.
Cosby, Kavanaugh, all
Yeah.
that. What do y'all think?
As
Oh,
men.
okay.
As
I mean,
men.
yeah.
Let's keep it as
And
men.
Weinstein.
And what is
Go
going
ahead.
on right now with women and the rape culture.
She's mad.
You know, the rape culture, this whole theme. I mean, what are your thoughts? We already know our thoughts. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I feel, obviously wrong is wrong, man. If a female says no and you continue to go, you're wrong off top. Now, these people in position of power, the Me Too movement is great because it condemns those who are doing so. Even if it's years ago, they're still paying for the repercussions, like Bill Cosby, obviously. I do hate to see people come out with false allegations because that's going to tarnish a man's reputation.
It's going too far.
And it's really like no way to go back because you're already guilty in the court of public opinion. So if someone comes out and alleges that someone did something and you go to court and they prove that you didn't do anything, when you walk in a room, people still gonna be like, "Oof, that's that one dude that
You're tarnished.
Exactly.
Then you're tainted.
So when that happens, it's like, damn, how can you get that back? You can't. But I do feel bad for all the women who have gone through issues, and it's great to see them be able to bring it up and actually, face those battles.
Yeah, right now they're saying it's a bad time to be a man. No, it's really a bad time to be a woman. Let's keep that 100. It's always been a bad time to be a woman until you can actually progress. And I do agree. I think there are some women out there, and there have been women out there who have falsely accused and have caused a problem. Like at the end of the day, out of revenge and anger and all of these other things. But right now, like we're saying, we're seeing all of these, Bill Cosby is the only one, mind you, that's been convicted, all of this other stuff. But all these other rich white men, I hate to say it, have not, they're on trial, or here we go, the whole Kavanaugh thing. He's like sitting there in front of all these people and he's acting erratic and like a total lunatic, acting a fool, but he's he's passionate and he's fighting for his right. But here comes a woman who says her thing and she's upset and mad, she's emotional, she's all up in her feelings. Like where does all of this go? And whereas music, TV, all of these things that are influencing, as much as we say they don't, but they do, where does this all lead up to? Like, I'm upset. Like at the end of the day, if Bill Cosby did what he did, he deserves. But if you're gonna do this man, you better do every other damn man.
So one question: does it make a difference that Bill Cosby said, "Yes, I did put Quaaludes in women's drinks"? And I'm not sure about all the other men. I haven't heard them admit to. Well, some have.
Yes,
Wait, I'm
I mean,
difference
and
with what
even if they haven't,
groping
even if they said no, I haven't. There's evidence that they have.
Like empirical,
45 right now. There was mad evidence of him doing all kinds of shit recorded in 45 because I don't call him by his name. Number 45. Yeah, mad evidence.
Trump.
Yes.
Alleged.
I was like,
There's mad evidence, and he sat there and said he didn't admit, it's lies, is this, and still. Yes, Bill Cosby, at the end of the day, he admitted to it. A lot of men won't admit, but he did. It is what it is. But if you have multiple, no, I shouldn't even put quotes, but there's multiple women who are accusing and have the same story, the same way Bill Cosby had all these women accusing and the same story, but now you're talking about you're ruining a man's life. There's a problem. This is why a lot of times women don't come out and say anything. And as men, you have to know, and even as women, you know somebody who's been victimized some way or another. It might not be, you might not know right off, but I bet you either a mom, a sister, a cousin, an aunt, a coworker, anybody, somebody's been victimized in some way or another with this whole thing. So now that we're allowing these men in power and now we're accusing women of lying, where do we go from here as men? How do you stand? Like, because I know as women, when it comes to our men, a lot of times we stand by your side and we support and we rally by you. But how, as men, are you standing by our side and rallying by us with this situation that's going on?
What would be more productive to me at this point would say, how do we find a healthy medium on both sides? Because honestly, I feel like for as much as a woman could say, and of course, like I'm not taking anything away from how many women get sexually assaulted and how hard it is for women. But where's the fine line between, okay, now are these women just coming forward
Like
because
truth
all
and fact,
yeah,
like,
you feel
false
me?
facts and
Like it's
yeah,
it's
what's true and what's
things
not.
are becoming very blurred now, and I'm not saying anything like women are lying, but some women are. So you never really know for sure.
But
No.
here's the
It's
problem.
hard to know for sure.
Is that a woman's claim, right? The validity of her claim is always something that's in question, not only by men, but by other women.
Public.
Right. And I think that we have to start with our education of our men, because just like you said, our media in every form, the way our society is geared, right? It teaches men that they have a privilege to a woman's body. Women are also taught that they have to display themselves in a certain way to what be appealing to the opposite sex. So the way our society itself is governed, it works against women. And so now when we have this movement, we see that, some men are being brought to light, their actions are being brought to light. It stirs up a lot of feelings, right? But it's really forcing us to shift our perception of sexuality, of sexual behavior, especially on a man's part, and really confront some things that we haven't confronted in a long time. So
Well, first
Yeah.
things first.
what?
Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein definitely did all that shit.
Yeah,
because
they
they
did.
are two ugly motherfuckers. And unless they could do that, they would have never gotten laid. Weinstein is, he's the rule, not the exception, which I think a lot of people don't understand in Hollywood. Is a lot. He was doing what all the other studio execs were doing, because
Absolutely.
it's they have access to everything that these up and coming actresses and lower level females
It's
and women
power.
want
Yeah.
and need to move further in their career, and that's absolutely unfair. I agree that there does need to be education, but at the same time there needs to be some kind of one sheet of what's true, what's not,
to
due
be.
process, because then the lines are so blurred that just because a woman screams rape, you believe her, right?
But they don't.
But they don't.
That's the
I'm not saying that
problem.
they do, but I'm saying when it does happen, there has to be some kind of process that applies.
I mean, like, here's another thing. There was that guy from, I believe it was at Stanford, that white kid who raped that chick who was unconscious and he was caught.
Yeah, that was
like,
wild.
that's wild. Like,
But that's
he
wrong.
didn't- Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. But
Right.
here's my point. Either way, it doesn't matter if it's blatantly in your face and we see it and it's known and it's wrong, and now all of a sudden we're just like, oh, it's a boys club thing, a due passage, things
Right.
happen. We can't ruin lives, but we can go ahead and ruin women's lives. This is why women don't come out.
Exactly.
this
But
is
I'm not saying I
No,
disagree.
I
Right.
agree. But I'm just saying this is why a lot of women don't come out, because even if it is true,
a lot of people don't believe you.
it doesn't matter. Why should, if I say to you, this is where another thing is, like, men.
We have trials.
That's why we have
rape kids.
Yeah, we
But
have all these
but it's
things.
like in favor of men's lives possibly being ruined.
No, but here's the thing: there is a due process. If a girl
Right.
is lying now, we're in a day and age where we have DNA, we have all these things that you can expert. Back in the day, no, we did. There was a lot of men who went into jail for lies and crimes that women were doing. But nowadays, there is a time that there is ways to figure it out if it's true or not true.
Right.
So
But even
even with that, you just said back in the days, we didn't have XYZ. There were only certain women whose rights and who people
Absolutely.
really were concerned with, and those were white women.
I was gonna say you're
Yeah,
trying to
Okay,
say white
minority
people.
women,
Yeah.
it didn't matter what atrocities and what crimes were committed against them, and that is still prevalent in our
I was
culture
gonna say
today.
that hasn't changed.
Right.
That's still the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure, for sure.
And so women have always had a hard time when it comes to this. So once again, the reason why these women have taken as long as they have is because of the fact that they know everything is stacked up against them. So I don't see it as, okay, well, yeah, there will be some that lie, but I don't see it as something that really is against the man in this situation at all.
Men need to stop
At
touching
all?
things that.
No.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Of course, men do. We talked about this. Men do need to stop seeing women in just in an objectifying way, like
Sexual.
oh, just
Right.
just titties, and because some men do
example.
TNA.
A lot of men.
some men just see women as ass and titties.
Right.
Yeah, and I think like social media doesn't help that cause.
No.
You know, it definitely pushes forward that narrative. But when it comes to claims on whether it's rape or John stole this or anything like violence or whatever, any type of claims that are put out there, I think for the social aspect, we should all sit back and be like, all right, well, what are the facts? Like
Question
we said.
it.
Yes, because
But
even
we
if you
do.
look, even if you look back when
Not all the time.
Trayvon Martin was killed, someone asked Kobe like, "Oh, why aren't you wearing your hoodie like all the other athletes to, you know, stand up for Trayvon Martin?" And the first thing Kobe said, "Well, I want to hear all the facts of the case first before I make my judgment what I want to do."
Which
and
is
then
a fair assessment.
exactly,
Right.
and he got condemned for that. They were like, "Oh, Kobe out here, you know, on the side of Zimmerman." It's like, no, I want to see what the facts are first, and then move
Make
forward
my
with
decision from that.
Exactly.
like-
So even with like the rape situation, I don't think anybody has been in favor of, you know, these women being touched like that, like socially. No, don't do that. But I think it is fair to say, all right, let's see what the facts are. All right, he did it. All right, well, fuck him then.
And
know.
nobody's disagreeing with you on that front.
Yeah.
There should be investigation. I think that's with any kind of claim. But once again, when women step forward, or anyone, how about this? Even when men step forward, if there's an allegation, especially against someone who is in a position of power, you know, it automatically, the public's favor is usually slanted toward
The person
the
in power.
victim being exactly the person that's responsible for the crime.
My issue is with the public's perception whenever any allegations are thrown out there. That's my issue, is that as soon as the allegations are out
People
there,
jump
we're
to
picking sides
conclusions.
right
People
away.
hate Kavanaugh.
When a side should be
Right.
picked once the facts of the case come out. That's what I feel.
Right.
You shouldn't hate Kavanaugh right now. You don't know what he did for sure or not.
That was a very unique
Because Blasey was
situation.
lying too.
I feel like there was a lot of dishonesty on both sides.
Both sides.
But on top of that, and I'll ask everyone here, do you think it's fair that they're bringing something from his college years? So
This is high school.
Absolutely,
wasn't it?
politician.
No, it was high
and
school.
for
It was
the
college.
right.
Here's the
It's
thing.
college.
Here's the thing. If we're gonna do that, they do it to us all the damn time. It doesn't matter. The minute you get into that public figure, the minute you get into, they start scraping and pulling out shit that you did when you
Yeah.
were young and the whole thing. Yeah, you're young. We make mistakes, but they hold white men at a different standard than they do a man of color.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to start pulling up dirt on black men, you better believe it. They're going to start pulling up dirt on white men. Now, if you're going to sit there and say, hey, once you pass, it's done, whatever. Sure. I mean, let's keep it 100. Let's put it this way. If Obama had done any of these things,
He would have been crucified.
Yeah, absolutely. They were digging any little thing. So if we're going to hold this at a standard, then you better hold it on a standard all the way across. So for people to say it's not fair that's bullshit. Yeah, you put yourself in that position, they're going to start pulling it out. You better damn well believe that you better be able to take it, and you better make sure your shit is super clean, because if not, then you don't need to be in that kind of position. Unfortunately, in a day and age where you're not allowed to make mistakes.
Well,
You-
it's
or-
Well,
or-
no,
or-
if
or-
you're
or-
white
position
and you're
that
rich,
he's
you're
in.
allowed to
Allowed to
make
make
all the
mis-
mistakes that you want as
Yeah,
long as
that-
you have the
yeah.
power and money to
I
cover
think
them
it's
up,
okay.
right?
On that note,
Yeah, you can. You're not allowed to make mistakes nowadays. It's on social media.
yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Well, what do you guys think on our last hot topic of what's been going on in the news, voting and all the voting suppression, especially
midterms.
over midterms and everything coming up? What do you think?
I
Do
I
it.
personally feel like brands, celebrities should stay out of it. They should let the voters decide on them for themselves. I don't like to be bombarded, especially with things on Instagram from like Nike, Adidas, Taylor Swift's little white ass, telling me that I need to go out and vote for who they want me to vote for. I don't think that's fair. But you should absolutely go vote 1,000%. I do think these midterms are going to dictate a lot of what's going to happen in the months and years to come. So yeah.
The reason why I think all of these celebrities and brands are getting involved, of course, they have their people
Own
that
agendas, yeah.
their own agendas associated with it. But we don't understand the power that a vote has. Bottom line,
Right.
and in the youth period, we make up more numbers than the people who their rights get looked after. Right. So older voters, they go out and they vote. So politicians really, they appeal to them. Right. Laws are made in efforts to really put at
Protect them.
ease. Right.
Well,
this-
as you get
this
older,
group
you
of
understand
people.
laws more. When
Right.
you're young, you don't know what the fuck is going on.
But a lot of young people, we have so much at our fingertips to educate us, to help us to understand who it is that we're voting for. So I agree. You shouldn't, don't tell me, okay, that's your opinion. You want to vote for this person, but please get out and vote, because we make up 14% of this population. We have so much power, but not many of us really own that right? So that's my big thing about voting, because I know a lot of people that aren't going to be voting that are millennials, and yeah, it's hurting. It's upsetting to me.
Oh.
Because it's
You
more
really
than
not?
a right.
I've never voted.
Oh.
What?
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 27.
Right,
Wow.
millennial. So
Wow.
They need to
thing.
let voting happen on Instagram, and then everybody
we
would vote.
right?
You think
For
so?
real. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I wouldn't vote regardless.
why?
I just don't. For maybe I should vote for like these type of elections, but for a presidential election, I don't believe it matters.
Wow, that's
It's because
that's
of the electoral
good.
college.
Yeah, isn't like
Yeah.
like when we vote for presidents, isn't that usually like the popularity vote for the most part?
No, we
As
are
opposed-
the popularity vote doesn't matter.
No, I'm talking about well, that's
the-
where our vote goes towards, because then it's the electoral college who vote everything
Yeah,
else.
they vote for the president.
Decide.
So
So the popular vote always matters.
It does.
not for
Yes, the electoral college is something that is different. It's something that we need to revisit and reform, because the electoral college steps in because of they felt like certain demographics weren't being represented accurately or fairly, right? Because of their populace. They didn't want
like
the
Rhode Island.
right. There were certain places that they felt like, okay, well, no, boop boop boop. But at the end of the day, if you did actually vote, because once again, you're casting your ballot, you're putting in your voice, and there were more of that, the electoral college would have no choice but to sway according to the actual populace, what's happening in that area, right? And I think not a lot of people, we talk about what we want, but if we don't cast our ballot, that's only the first step. There's so many things involved in the process. Then we can't do anything. We can get on social media and talk about our wants and our likes and our XYZs, but if we don't actually act on anything, we're not
Nothing's
doing
gonna
anything.
happen.
But
So if we all vote for one candidate and then the electoral college votes in majority for the other candidate,
What did we actually do?
the other candidate's going to win.
But no, how many people are? Most of the majority of
Like
people.
someone wins a popularity vote, like Trump went, not Trump, but say what's her name, Hillary wins popularity, but Trump wins all the electoral college votes.
It depended
Is he
on
gonna
that
go up?
state, though. It depended on that state, which usually what was a swing
I can
state,
feel John just burned.
right?
a lot of people don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, okay, so if I vote for whatever Senate is going to be putting in this vote for the electoral college, I don't
You're talking
know.
about your representative, your
my representative
actual,
for like
okay.
California. I don't know why he's voting for whatever presidential candidate he's voting for, because all these senators, they're all paid by lobbyists for some type of agenda or some
All of it comes
corporation.
down to money.
So yeah, all of it's about money. I personally feel like, regardless of who's elected, I'm gonna do what I want. It's my responsibility to do what I need to do to better myself and then better the people around me and better my community. I don't put my onus on like anyone else.
But here's the thing. So, what do you care about? You care about your wages? Is that something you care about? You care about maybe fairness in your workplace
There'll
and
never
just
be
opportunity?
fairness.
Well, to some degree, we don't have it like,
It's gotten better.
our ancestors did, let's say, right? We don't have it that
5 minutes,
bad.
Yeah, but I mean,
And the reason why we can sit here like we are today and have the same opportunities, we have the civil rights movement itself. One of the reasons why we can have all that is because of voter rights, is because we now have an actual voice. And that's what it means. Because we vote and then we have a representative. That's why it's our right to know about, and our responsibility to know about our aldermen, to know about the people that are representing us, because we can appeal to those people so that we can get our thoughts and our concerns really, really put out there. We need legislation made for us.
do you feel that it is, or do you?
I feel like it's a
do you
work
feel
in
like they're really
progress.
taking our concerns into play, or is it just how much money they're getting? I feel like I
All
don't
of it
know.
comes down to money, right? But it could go either way, right? It could go either way. But once again, if you don't do anything, that's saying to them, well, they don't care anyway. That's the reason why, minorities, we don't have the same type of power. You have the LGBTQ community. There was a lot of legislation passed when the Obama administration was there in place, but it was passed for a reason, because not only do they have the support, they're getting out and they're voting, but they also have the people representing them. They also have
And
the money.
vouching
They
for
have the
them.
capital.
Vouching, yeah.
They have a lot going for them to get that legislation in place. They have a lot of programs that are now in place for youth and all kinds of things, sexual health, because they act. We don't act because we're under the misconception that we don't have a voice, and that's the problem. So voting is like, it's integral.
Yeah.
I completely understand where you're coming from, that you kind of don't believe in it. But I will say,
on the federal presidential level.
yes.
Like, I didn't disagree with anything you said.
No, I completely
never-
agree with you 1,000%. What I'm saying is, for me personally, I was the same way. But as you become a little more successful, and then a little more successful, and then a little more, you start climbing that ladder, then you start to unlock the reasons why that shit is important.
It wasn't
Absolutely.
until I got my own business. This was 3 years ago.
And then you really get an
Really
understanding of how it all
understood.
works and why
Really
it's important.
understood,
Right.
because when I was younger, and I always voted, but the way I voted shifted every time I went to go put my vote in. Because before, I was just voting because initially my family was traditionally Democratic, or actually it started off Republican and shit, whatever. Point is,
Don't go down that road.
Point is, 'cause that's a whole historic
That's a
thing.
whole nother thing.
But it's a matter of understanding, and it's a matter of owning, once again, who you are and what it is that this all means. And I think that it will change as you change and as you grow.
Absolutely.
It's always changing.
Always changing. So with that said, you guys, our time has come.
No.
Yeah, I know this has been amazing, and it's been so refreshing to get some a good little table talk. We'll definitely have to do it again. We're gonna have to get into more crazy, a little bit more depth, but it was very good. We loved having you guys here. It was so very
Thanks for having
informative.
us.
It was like, yes, it was very informative. It's great to keep open talk. I think this is really important for us to be able to talk and express our opinions and our views, because that's the only way change and things can happen is when we can express ourselves. So again, thank each and every one of you for coming out.
guys.
And again, we will have all of our lovely guests' information on our Instagram website, all of that, so you can check them out. You could check out Tiffany at Tiffany Ray Salon. Well, why don't you listen? I'm like, why don't you all talk about yourself? I'm acting like I'm
It's
there,
all
like
the
the
shameless
management.
plugs.
Yeah, like, well, why don't you all
Plug
say
yourself.
about yourself?
Oh, okay. You can check me out at Style by Tiffany. My website, www.tiffany-renee.com, RENEE. Thank you.
You see, and I said it all wrong, so that's why y'all need to say it yourselves.
You can follow me at Brian M. Rivers. That's Brian with a Y. And check out our podcast, The Mean Podcast, on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, almost on every platform, pretty much. And follow us at The Mean Network on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well. We drop new episodes every Wednesday.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna echo what he said. Johnny Kendricks from the Mean Network, co-host of the Mean Podcast. Find us where he said find us.
Yeah, you forgot what I said. Rewind it back.
Yeah. And also, I'm gonna leave you guys with a question. We just talked about this on our podcast. You guys all think about this. Can you take the power back from a derogatory label or term?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Yes.
Come on.
Absolutely.
We'll have to talk about that.
Oh, you can find
Yes.
me, Kevin, at Your Petty Friend, yourpettyfriend.com. Come and check it out.
All right. And then, so go ahead, Chiquita. This is your show.
I just want to thank everybody for coming. And just stay tuned for listening, guys. We appreciate y'all.
And you can always find us on.
Well,
say hello.
Well, you already said it.
Yeah,
What did I
shameless
say?
plug.
Yes.
Oh, I did. Okay, so sorry. Damn,
Yeah.
it's the Moscato. All right,
Yeah.
everyone.
Oh my gosh, she's
So
a mess.
I know.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Take a little time to enjoy your brand of Moscato and tea with us every day. Subscribe, rate, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and MoscatoandTea.com.